I'm Jenna, and I'm here to explain the interdisciplinarity between art and science. More specifically, I am focusing on chemistry and graphic design to show that art is an enabler of science. So let's look at carbon as an element, a chemical element on the periodic table, and then let's think of how that's in literally everything around us. Um, then let's think of pencils and the lead that is in those pencils. We call it lead, but it's actually carbon. And so it's easy to see that this scientific material was manipulated by man into a way that artists can utilize it in many different forms, whether it's charcoal or a mechanical pencil or a fine quality drawing pencil. Um, I became interested in this because as I was pursuing a polymer science and engineering degree, I added graphic design. I've always been naturally gifted at art. I was always creative and able to do these things, and so I figured it would be easier to fill up my full time hour requirements with something that I was capable of doing rather than something that was tedious and harder to comprehend conceptually. Um, I began thinking, though, everyone remembers drawing as a child, but somewhere along the way that became discouraged. And here, during my time at USM, I've noticed people who genuinely struggle with concepts that I, as an artist, as a designer, it was easy for me to comprehend, like a molecule and the interactions in between them, for example. Um, so, if we think of chemistry in terms of things interacting with other things, even if they're conceptual ones, it's easy to see how chemistry and graphic design can relate because graphic design, as an artist, you're manipulating the senses of everyone around you. In my research, I studied ways that art was preserved. Well, art preserved science. Uh, Museums, for example, there was one instance where someone set up a storefront like experience that packaged concepts, scientific concepts for people, and they actually wanted to purchase them. I guess it just went right over their head that the empty packaging was just a conversation starter. But either way, it shows that the preservation of learning materials, which is how I think graphic design and chemistry come together practically, uh, has evolved over time. And so, in addition to museums, I've also looked at our perception and our imagination and what our environment has to affect that. So, for the Harry Potter series, for example, this was life changing for many kids. They love it, they believe in it, and not necessarily firmly believe in the Harry Potter series as magic being real, but I've investigated the possibilities of the technology actually being true, such as the invisibility cloak. Um, there's actually scientists out there proving that if you imagine it, you can find a way to create it. And with technology rapidly advancing, I think that graphic designers will be able to help make science more aesthetically appealing. So overall, my research begs the question, if you can fathom it, can it not be? Thanks.